Here is my recap on Dexter Season 7, Episode 6, entitled Do the Right Thing. All right, we're at the halfway point of the season, and this episode was very interesting. Dexter does start to hone in on Hannah a little bit. He's getting very frustrated and feels like he has to do a kill, so he is definitely looking at Hannah for killing all of these people in her past and trying to find out if she's a killer today. When he meets her at the beginning of this episode, she's actually killing a rabbit in her garden, and they have some interesting banter there. He comes back later to look for evidence and she actually ends up bringing him a flower at his house, and then he shows up at her house. So they're kind of like stalking each other at this stage. And Dexter knows something is up, so he decides to take her out. That has a double meaning. In fact, there's a scene in this episode where she asks, "What do you want?" He says, "I want to take you out." And he literally meant that he wants to kill her. And she didn't really pick up on that. Well, she might have by the look in her eyes. But I'll talk about what happens with them at the end of this episode. But there are a few other things we need to talk about first. Batista, let's talk about the smaller stuff first. Batista wants to open up a restaurant. He's tired of being a detective, and he has a heart-to-heart with Deborah and says this is where his heart is and what he wants to do. We have Quinn, who is still being vetted by these Russians. They leave him the bag of money. He returns it, says he wants nothing to do with it. He wants to be with Nadia. They aren't going to allow that to happen. They say they told him if you don't get what they want from him is to get rid of the blood evidence from Victor at that crime scene where he killed all of his rivals. And so they want him to go into the police department and destroy that evidence. So he talks to Nadia and he's like, "I'm not taking the money. I'm not." Well, she kind of convinces him, "Don't do it. They're going to have you forever." So he returns the money. Well, he's supposed to have dinner with her later in that episode. I think her name's Nadia, and she's not there. It's the owner of that particular strip club. And he's like, "Look, you're going to do what we told you to do. You can even keep the money." So there's a scene where he goes to destroy the evidence, and I got distracted, but I don't think he could do it. So he didn't actually do it just yet. If he did, he's really upset at himself for doing it. Because they said if he doesn't do what they ask, they're going to kill Nadia. She'll be shipped off to Croatia or something like that. She'll be dead within 2 months. So they said he didn't want that to happen. They said, if you do what we're asking you to do, we'll leave her here. You can have her passport. She'll be completely free. So that's what he opts to do. We also have LaGuerta looking into the Bay Harbor butcher case even further. She's going outside the scope of what she said she was going to look at. She's now starting to look at just about every homicide that has happened that is unexplained there at the department. This definitely worries Deborah. She goes to see Dexter, and Dexter says, "Don't worry about it. I'll deal with LaGuerta." And you can see he's getting pretty upset. Deborah is visibly upset as well because she's between a rock and a hard place. She still loves her brother, but she's got to, she can't do anything that's going to step on the toes of LaGuerta. There is an author who comes into this episode, and this author is the one who actually helps Dexter kind of figure out that Hannah is still killing people. He gives Dexter some information. He's writing a biography on Hannah and that whole case with the guy who committed suicide and had those bodies out there and how they were together when they were younger. And he has evidence that he kind of divulges to Dexter that, yes, she has killed other people. Her last husband died of a heart attack, and a couple other people in her past have died from heart attacks as well. And he discovers that there is a flower that has the characteristics to cause a heart attack with no visible signs and nothing in the bloodstream. And so he knows that Hannah is still killing. So he does go to kill her. He actually gets her on the table. He is about to kill her. And at the last minute, he's got his knife raised. He's going to reach it down, and he quickly reaches down, cuts all the cellophane, and they have wild sex right there on the kill table in the very final scene. So we're going to see where this leads going forward. I told you she becomes a big part of his life, and this is the beginning of that. So we're going to see where this leads in the following 6 episodes, which will lead us up to the finale of season 7, leading us into what would be the most bizarre final season, season 8. I'm doing all these recaps to get ready for season 9, which does debut in November, I believe November 7th. It is called Dexter New Blood on Showtime. Watch these recaps to get all caught up so you'll know what happened with these characters and where we're headed with the new season. All right, we will see you guys on the next recap.